how to build a complete set. In this video, we're going to combine all the short videos in order to make a complete set. Our set today is going to be Alive, Wake, and Another in the Fire. Let's start off by going to this arrow on the top left. When you click it, it'll appear this menu. We're going to go to this section called Places. You'll be able to find your Google Drive folder in this section. Mine's on this folder that says Google Drive. And as you can tell, everything in my Google Drive is right here. We're going to click the arrow that says Shared Drives. Then we're going to go ahead and click Worship Resources. And then after, we're going to hit Ableton Library and then Resources. In this Resources folder, you'll find the Weekend template, the CF click, and cues. Before we put any songs in, we want the Weekend template. So we're going to hit the arrow for the Weekend template. It's going to drop down, and we're going to click the Weekend template 2.0. When you click it, all the channels will appear. Now that we have the Weekend template, let's go ahead and close out of the Resources tab and make sure that Ableton Library is still dropped down. In this Ableton Library folder, you'll see all our songs. So now what we want to do is we want Alive, Wake, and Another in the Fire. Let's go ahead and hit the arrow on Alive. Hit the arrow on a live album E project, and then we're going to drag over the original key for Alive, which is E. So click Alive, and then drag it all the way to this column over here. You want to make sure that all the audio files are in the proper channels. Once they are, let's go to Wake. We're going to scroll down. We're going to hit the arrow for Wake. We're going to hit Wake Album G project, and we're going to get the original key for Wake. We're going to click it, we're going to drag it over to this column again, and then you should see all the audio files go in their channels. Now let's go back to Another in the Fire. Click the arrow for Another in the Fire, click Album, C project, and then let's get the original key for Another in the Fire, click it, and drag it over to the same column. Now that we have all the songs in place, we want to change Alive in the key of C. Now normally, we have all our songs in different keys. So if you go back to the Google Drive folder, you would see all the different keys of Alive. But for the purpose of the video, I'm going to show you how to transpose a song. You're going to start off by hitting play on Alive. This will allow the master BPM to be the same as the song BPM. The master BPM is right here in the top left. Once you see it as the same BPM as your song, Alive, you're good. Now we're going to go ahead and make sure it's warped. I'm going to go over to our Click Audio channel. Click the audio file, hold Shift, scroll to the right, and click Rough. This should highlight all the audio files. Now I'm going to come down to this menu over here, and if you don't have the menu down here, go to the arrow on the bottom right corner and click it. It should open up this menu. Since we have the menu open, we're going to go to the Warp button, and we're going to make sure that it's turned on. You'll know it's on when it's completely yellow. After, you're going to come down to this section right here, you're going to click it, and you're going to make sure it says complex. Next, what you want to make sure of is that the segment BPM is the same as your song BPM. So what you're going to do is click each audio file from Click Audio all the way to Rough, and make sure that the segment BPM is the same. Now that we have everything warped, we want to make sure that we transpose the song. So this time, click Loop, hold Shift, and scroll all the way to the right where it says Rough and click it. This will highlight all your audio files from loop to rough. Now we're going to hold Command, and we're going to click Rough, Ref, Drums, and Perk. This deselects all the audio files that we just clicked. The reason for this is because we don't want any other file being transposed. So now that we did that, we're going to go back down to this menu, and we're going to look at this wheel where it says Transpose above it. Since E to C is -4 steps, we're going to go ahead, click this box right here and put -4. Just as a reference, make sure you're never transposing more than -4 and more than 7. Now that we pitched everything, make sure that the proper audio files that should be pitched are pitched. Be aware that when transposing a song, the audio clips will increase in volume. To learn how to fix that issue, go ahead and watch our video on how to adjust levels on individual clips. Now we're going to go to this column over here, right click on Alive, go to Rename, and we're going to delete E because we want to change the key of the song. So we're going to put C and then hit Enter. Go ahead and hit play on Alive and make sure it's in C. Now what we're going to do is make clicks for each of these songs. I'm going to go ahead and click a random song. Then I'm going to name it Clicks. And then after, I'm going to drag it below our songs. Now I'm going to do a song that I want. I'm going to choose a live. I'm going to hit Command I again. It's going to duplicate the scene. I'm going to drag it below the click scene. I'm going to copy the click MIDI file by right-clicking it and hitting copy. Then we're going to go to our live click scene. We're going to hit the click MIDI box, right-click it, and then paste it. However, if you don't have a click MIDI for the song, let's make one. I'm going to delete this click MIDI, double-click on this square. It'll create a green box in our click MIDI, and then you'll see this menu down below. You'll see down high, up, and down. On our beat 1 right here, let's make sure that we double-click on down high, and you'll see that a green box appears. After that, we'll go on beat 2, which is 1.2. We'll double-click on down, and we'll do the same for 1.3 and 1.4. Then we're going to go to our 1.1.3 and double-click it on up. This will create our accent. We'll do the same for 1.2.3 and 1.3.3 and 1.4.3. Now we want to make sure that the volume for the click is at its max. Hit Command A and it should select all the notes. We're going to go to this red line right here. It doesn't matter which one you pick. We're going to click it and we're going to drag it all the way up. This will boost the click audio all the way up. Hit play on the scene and make sure the click is working. Just be aware when making a 6/8 click that you make 2 extra downbeats and that you make no accents in a 6/8 click. And now I'm going to quickly go ahead and make clicks for each of the other songs. I'm going to go ahead and make one more scene and name it as set. And then I'm going to drag it above all our songs. Now I want to color code everything. I'm going to go ahead and right click on scene. It's going to appear this menu. I'm going to go down to this color palette and I'm going to choose red. After, I'm going to make all my songs in white by clicking one song, hitting shift, and clicking the last song. Once everything highlights, I'm going to go ahead and right click and then click the color white. For my click scene, I'm going to make it orange. And then for all our clicks, I'm going to make it yellow. One last thing that I want to do is add a vamp click at 105 at 4/4. I'm going to click the last click song, hit Command I, rename the song into vamp click, change the BPM of the song by right clicking it, hitting edit launch tempo, and then putting 105. And then finally I'm going to color code it to the color pink. Now we have 2 more steps before completing our set. Let's go ahead and MIDI map all our songs. Make sure your external device is connected. Plug it into your computer and hit a button on your external device. Come up to the top right corner and make sure it's flickering on and off every time you hit the button. If it is not, go to the top left corner here where it says live, click it, hit preferences, and then go to your MIDI tab right here. Make sure it's clicked and you'll see this menu right here. Make sure that all the track buttons and all the remote buttons are turned on. It will appear as yellow to indicate that it's on. You do not need the sync buttons to be on. In this section that says control surfaces, make sure that all the buttons say none. Simply click on the button and look for the option that says none. Click it, and then you should be good. After all that is done, your external device should be working now. Click out of the Preference tab, and then make sure that it's working. Now I'm going to go to the top right corner where it says MIDI, and I'm going to click it. It's going to turn blue. Anything blue is programmable. So I want to make sure when I hit a button on my external device, it fires a track. I'm going to click a song, and I'm going to hit a button on my external device that I want it programmed to. You'll see this box right here indicating that you programmed the song. Go ahead and do that for all your songs and all your clicks. And then for the final step, you want to make sure that you program your stop button. So go up here where your stop button is, click it, and then hit a button you want it programmed to. Now that you're done programming everything, go ahead on the top right where it says MIDI, click it, and everything will go back to normal. Once you exit out of the MIDI page, make sure that you test all the buttons that you program. If you want your song to fire instantly, go to this square on the top left section, and then click it. It will appear several different options. Some will be 8 bars, 4 bars, 2 bars, 1 bar, none. But if you want it to fire instantly, hit the option that says none. If you want the track to play on the upcoming bar, set it to 1 bar. Let me give you some examples for no bars and 1 bars. I'm going to explain no bars. As you can tell, every time I hit a button on my external device, it instantly fires the tracks. Now let's switch it to 1 bar. I'll hit play on Another in the Fire, and then I'll hit play on Alive. You can see all the audio files ticking, getting ready to go in on the next bar. When it gets to the next bar, it plays the upcoming song. Let me demonstrate this one more time.
1, 2, ready, go, intro.
Now we have one more step to go. This involves making sure everything's routed properly. You want to make sure that your audio interface is connected, whether it's a Roland Octocapture, Dante, or any other device. Let's go up top here where it says Live, click it, and hit Preferences. We're going to make sure that we hit the Audio tab. You're going to see this menu right here with your inputs and your outputs. Make sure your input says No Device, and then hit Output and click the audio interface that you want. If you don't see the audio interface, make sure it's properly plugged into your computer and that you have the proper drivers installed for the audio interface that you have onto your computer. Next, we're going to go to this Output Config and make sure that all the buttons are turned on. This will activate all your channels. Next, we want to route all the channels that we have. There's two types of channels, single channels and group channels. Here's an example. Watch what happens when I click this button right here. It hides and unhides all the audio files within this group channel. This loop channel right here does not have that option. That means it's a single channel. I'm going to show you how to route to single channel first. We're going to go down here to our ins and outs bank. If you don't see this in and out bank, come all the way over here on the right where this IO button is and click it. Make sure it's yellow. Now we're going to go to this box right here and click it. It may say something different for you. It may say master, configure, or external out. We want to make sure it's on external out. When you hit external out, these numbers below it will appear. Since we're on the loop channel, I'm going to set it to 3 and 4. However, your location may be different, so set it accordingly. Now for the group channels. I want to make sure that the group channel is open, so hit this button right here and it should display all the audio files. We're going to start off with the subchannels. We're going to go down to this box right here where it would normally say external out. We want it to say click instead of external out. The reason for this is because we want to label the subchannels as the same name as the master channel right here where it says click. Now for the master channel, it's going to be like the loop channel. You're going to come down to this box and you're going to click it. You're going to hit external out and then you want to set it to the channel that you want it to be in. Now that you know how to route everything, go ahead and do it for all the other channels. And finally, hit play on a song and confirm with your front of house that all the channels are being routed properly. And that concludes our video on how to build a complete set.